Hi, my name's Steve Amos. I'm a singer-songwriter from Hollywood, North Down. I've been doing it for about 22, 23 years now, ever since I retired. I was formerly a banker, and I write comedy songs. The journey towards Belfast was pretty straightforward because I was very happily ensconced in Plymouth, and I've been down there about 3 years. And I got a phone call one morning from the then general manager saying, we're looking for somebody to go and open a branch in Belfast. Would you like to go? And I said, no, no way. It's the war zone. I'm not going to Belfast. But I went home and sort of mentioned it to my wife, and she said, well, it's worth investigating. And so I really, to cut a long story short, we came over here and opened up a new branch of the bank. I expected to be here for 3 or 4 years, but I retired then. It was really a question then of having time to do stuff. So I already had the basics of playing guitar, like, you know. And I would go out and sit out and play Neil Young covers for days on end, sort of thing. But then I found I could write comedy songs. First guitar was an Echo. Do you remember Echoes? EKO, and it was just, you know, I never really got on very well with it. But then I got sort of better, I suppose, and took a few classical guitar lessons when I would have been about 14, 15. That's a long time ago. And then played a bit at university, but the real turning point was in university. I studied French and German at university, and I went to France for a year. And there I met a guy who basically taught me to fingerpick guitar, which was just a revelation. And it just opened a whole load of stuff out for me. So then I joined the bank. That would have been in early 70s. I joined the bank and didn't play for probably 15 years or so. And then just took a notion one day to start again. My name is Neil and I'm an aging rock star. I've been singing songs since 1962. I'm still playing even though I'm well over 70. It's the only thing that I know how to do. I found this chord called F major 7. Put it into every song I know. Some people tell me that I've overstayed my welcome. I'm afraid I really have nowhere else to go. Some people tell me that my music is eclectic. I'm not really sure that I know what that means. Sometimes I play acoustic, sometimes I play electric. Sometimes I wear jackets, I usually wear jeans. But I found this other F major 7 more irritating than the earlier chord. Some people say my voice is annoying. Others find it tedious and they just get bored. I've played lots of styles since I started in the business. Rock and roll and country and acoustic folk. Many people cannot understand my lyrics. Truth is they're all meaningless, that's always been the joke. There's that chord again, F major 7. It still has a fairly haunting tone. I've played with groups and bands and other people, but everyone prefers it when I play alone. I made it through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. the 90s and all the way through to the present day. When you least expect it, I release another album, just as a reminder that I'll never go away. I never leave out F major 7. That chord comes back to greet me like a long lost friend. You'll be pleased to hear I have no more to sing now. That's the lot, it's over, that's the end. The way I do it, well, sometimes I just pick up something, an idea which is just, there's an anomaly there, if you like, just because something doesn't sit properly. Other times I've got a couple which I write a lot of story songs. Some of them then come from real life, from press interviews and stuff like that. You read things and you think, does that really happen like that? And then you just try and work a tune on it. Or alternatively, if you're tinkering around and you get a decent chord progression or a few decent chord progressions, and then you put the words in afterwards. I normally write the words first, but I think the ones that I have probably most satisfaction with are where I've got a riff or a chord progression and then put the words onto it. Because otherwise the tendency is, if you write a set of words, the tendency is just almost to stick to 3 or 4 chords, and that can get a bit boring. So and just things that come out of the blue occasionally, and you just think, oh, that'd be quite good. But then you've got to try and turn a 25-second thought into a 3-minute song, and that's where it gets more difficult, because you think, okay, I've got 2 really good line, and that's what it is. One really good line. Had a phone call from the doc, which came as quite a shock, because he only calls me now and again. He said, you got appendicitis and cystitis and mastitis, and that's fairly rare in post and middle-aged men. Your test results are serious, I'm surprised you're not delirious or foaming from the mouth at the least. You seem to have a full collection of every known Western infection, and a few found only in the Far East. You got a cough and you were wheezing, and sometimes you're hot then freezing, and you've got a lot of fur on your tongue. Your chest is quite congested, I think we should get it tested, 'cause it sounds like you're losing a lung. Your heart beats irregular, there's low pressure in your jugular, your carotid sounds just like a blocked drain. You're in danger of a stroke, but there's a good chance that you'll croak if the blood flow's not increased to your brain. He said, but don't you worry, you were still in your prime. With a little bit of luck, we'll solve the problems with time and strong prescription drugs and lots of rest in your bed. But don't book up a holiday more than 6 weeks ahead. I said, Doc, you gotta be joking. I've given up drinking, smoking, and I work out in the gym all the time. I sleep for 8 hours every night. I have a healthy, varied diet. My life is not just good, it's sublime. I thought I was supremely fit, but now you made me feel like, and I really don't know what I should do. Until now my life had a plan, but you've made me a broken man, and I'm really sad to hear this from you. He said, Steve, now don't despair, we'll get the very best of care from consultants who'll take on your case. But you ought to see them soon, perhaps this very afternoon. I'll call them up, see if they have a space. He rang me later on that day, he said it's bad news, sad to say. They've given me a time and a date, but no matter how I try, they can't see you until July, and I'm afraid that's gonna be much too late. This news almost threw me into terminal decline. I had woken up that morning, I've been feeling just fine. I thought about my future, even contemplated prayer. My morale fell through the floor, I was in total despair. But then the doc called back again, he said, I've something to explain about the chat we had an hour ago. I hope I didn't cause you terror, but I've made a minor error, and I thought it was important, you know. There's been a bit of a mistake, it's not one we often make, but you're not the one who's going to die. What I told you wasn't true, the test results were not for you. I gotta make another call now, goodbye. What I told you wasn't true, the test results were not for you. I gotta make another call now, goodbye. Hope you weren't worried. That's all now, have a good day, goodbye. There's a lot of words in the songs. Most of the songs got lots of words. And people say, oh, how do you remember them all? And it really is a fairly tedious answer. I just practice them a lot. I play them a lot. You know, as long as you click with the first word of the line, they'll run. I have blanked on many occasions where you suddenly get to a point when and it's particularly bad if you blank on the punchline. That's a disaster, you know. Because they're comedy songs, it's nice to have an audience that listens. And if you get a reaction from the audience, particularly singing my sort of stuff, what that does is it just increases your energy levels, and you get better and you get more relaxed, and you're prepared then to almost stop during a song, particularly if you know them well. Almost stop, you know, you tell a joke almost, and then push back straight into the song, and that's when you know you're doing okay. So that's the sort of thing. But if you played an audience who are more interested in drinking than they are listening, that can be very difficult. And then what happens is the opposite happens. Your energy levels drop away, and they really aren't going to be interested because they can sense that you're not desperately interested in them. So that's the way it works, which is why I like playing, you know, lagging sessions, or anybody says come along and do this, you know, house gig or whatever it is, because you know you're going to get somebody who's going to listen. She had promised to love him to the end of his days, with a passion so deep and so true. But after 2 weeks she had had quite enough, and there was only one thing she could do. So she went to the store and bought poisons galore, a length of strong rope and a knife, a large caliber gun and a hammer and an axe. She was soon to become an ex-wife. Well, when he got home from work, she poured him a drink laced with a strength-sapping drug. He drank it down, so she poured him another, and he collapsed in a heap on the rug. Then she took her chance to curtail the romance, and she used the rope, knife, axe, and gun. And when he was dead, not one tear did she shed. She just calmly dialed 911. Well, the sheriff came round. He said, look what I found. There's evidence here, quite a lot. It looks like he's been grabbed from behind and then stabbed and then poisoned and strangled and shot. I can tell from the facts he's been hit with an axe and struck with a hammer quite hard. And there's a rope round his throat, but the lack of a note means suicide's probably not on the cards. So he questioned the wife, who was still holding the knife, and asked if she'd committed the crime. There was a strong indication of premeditation. She'd been thinking about it for some time. When asked why she did it, she merely replied that she'd grown tired of him and his ways. She'd sworn to love him until he died, and she did for just 14 short days. Well, they took her to court, but the hearing was short in that small town in Missouri. And though she showed no repentance, she got a very light sentence because she'd slept with the judge and the jury. So let this be a warning to all you young men, blinded by love that seems true. Real love is quite rare, so you should always prepare to get her before she gets you. Write new stuff, go and see others, see what they're doing, I suppose. I think also that there's an element here of being, if you like, self-truthful. Are you really, do you want to do this as a career? I don't mean to, are you going to be a Taylor Swift, right? But do you see this as the way that you are going to earn a living? And then you've really got to ask yourself, am I good enough, lucky enough, do I practice enough to actually manage to reach that level? And if in your heart of hearts you think no, then do it for fun, which is basically what I do. I mean, some people can make a reasonable living at it, but there's an awful lot of people out there who don't. It's difficult. If you get disillusioned, I suppose you've either got to say to yourself, am I going to give this up, or do I enjoy doing it? I'll do it for fun. But to a lot of people who want to try and make a full living out of it, they're few and far between. So that's tough. I'm bad at it. I don't like recording. I find very little pleasure in recording, and I've done I think four CDs now, but I don't find it very pleasurable. And it's only me and a guitar. It's not as if I'm sitting there doing high production stuff. But I don't really enjoy it. It's ironic because I tend to make more mistakes, almost like in an atmosphere like this, than I do on stage. Also, if you make a mistake on stage, you can just either play through it or just tell the audience, boy, did I mess that up, and then just do it again, and that will actually bring them on more to you, if you like. Promotional stuff, I don't really do very much of it. That's as simple as that, really. This is about as much promotional stuff as I do. There is a lot of support over here for youngsters, admittedly, right? But I had this beef a few years ago with the fact that all the music competitions that were going were aimed at young singer-songwriters. And I mean, late teens, early 20s type thing, even mid-teens. So I had this discussion one day, and I said, well, why don't you do a competition for the old guys, which I managed to squeak in, as you can imagine, yeah. And that was good fun. So we had a bunch of older ones, and it was just a slightly different, because it did actually focus on a different age group, and you've got a different types of music as well, I'm getting too old to be part of any team. I can no longer keep my end up, I just run out of steam. The spirit may be willing, but the flesh, alas, is weak. I have to get up several times each night just to take a leak. I no longer have the energy to go to the gym. I've stopped jogging and I can't remember how to swim. Life is passing me by, that's the God's honest truth. I'm getting long in the tooth. My muscle disposition isn't what it was. I move around less easily. I guess that's because I've been putting on weight, gone up a size in shirts. I think I'm getting arthritis cause my back really hurts. Used to run like a cheetah, now I move like a snail. I'm afraid to take a blood test cause I know I'll fail. I can't do anything the way I did in my youth. I'm getting along in the tooth. My mental abilities are in decline. I forget things very easily, and that's a bad sign. I often lose my temper and I'm losing my hair. And if I ask you how you are, please don't think I care, because I don't. I used to run upstairs when I was in my prime. The only thing that happens fast now is the passage of time. Calendar tells me it's the 15th of May, but it barely seems a week since it was Christmas Day. I used to be good in bed, that's no longer the case. race, because I can't maintain a rhythm and I can't keep up the pace. I badly need some sun, but I'm too weak to fly south. That's why I'm down in the mouth. They say as you get older that you get more wise, but speaking from experience, that's a pack of lies. Technology's advancing, but I'm stuck at first base. It's a competitive world and I'm losing every race. They say patience is a virtue, but it's one I don't possess, because I'm easily pissed off and I don't go well with stress. I may be calm on the surface, but there's panic underneath. I'm getting long in the teeth. I'm getting near that point where my story ends. I'm running out of time and I'm running out of friends. They're dropping all around me, falling like flies. It won't be very long before my own demise. I know people say all I do is moan, that my opinion's like Excalibur, are set in stone. I'm impatient, unforgiving, I bear a grudge. I have established points of view from which I just won't budge. Well, that may be what you think, but I disagree. Or one of us is wrong and it sure as hell ain't me. I had a big row with my girlfriend, a sweet lady called Ruth. She says I'm getting long in the tooth. But till I get to the end, I'm gonna have a good time. Life may be an uphill struggle, but I'll enjoy the climb. I can still cause some friction and create a few sparks with old-fashioned views and inappropriate remarks. I sometimes use bad language, I can swear with the best. I'm a great believer in getting things off your chest. I'm not politically correct, some people say I'm uncouth. I'm getting long in the tooth, but not gracefully. I'm getting long in the tooth. The best place for me is to go on to YouTube. I've got 30 or 40 up on YouTube, I think. But you need to go to Steve Amos Music, all one word, Steve Amos Music on YouTube. If you do Steve Amos, you'll get Stephen K. Amos, who's a black stand-up comedian, my alter ego. Gather round while I sing you this sad country tune. It's one I've been working on all afternoon. It'll bring tears to your eyes, that I can guarantee. It may be tasteless, but it's poignant, oh, and it's all about me. See, I'm stuck in the house, I can't get into town. My wife took the car and my truck's broken down. There's just no way I can get out of here, and I'm all out of whiskey and I run out of beer. Since I woke up this morning, I have been crying. My wife has left me and my dog's surely dying. She's out on the porch, gasping for breath. Each tortured inhalation brings her closer to death. She was obedient, she was faithful, she was true. She was always beside me, whatever I do. My guide and my companion through life's wind, rain, and fog. If only the wife had been more like the dog. But she was fickle, dishonest, she stole all my cash. I think she's the woman who gave me this rash. Every day she deceived me with her cheating and her lying. It just don't seem fair, it's the dog that is dying. I live in Kentucky, in this one-horse town. I work in the coal mine deep underground. I got this small place high up in the hills, but I'm stressed out 'cause I'm broke and I can't pay my bills. It's so cold here in the winter, it near freezes your blood. When it thaws in the spring, we're knee-deep in mud. In summer, it's humid and unbearably hot. Things should be good in the fall, but they're usually not. We're plagued all year round by vermin and pests. We got bats in the roof space and wasps in their nests. Strange larvae that bore through all the window frames and doors, and termites in their millions in the crawl space and floors. I hate my neighbors, I wish most of them were dead. The gene pool's so shallow here, they're mostly inbred. They all live on welfare and disability, and every one of them plays banjo much better than me. Try as I might, I can't make my escape. I'm dehydrated, malnourished, and I'm in pretty poor shape. Dejected, downhearted, oh, my life is a curse. But at least my wife is gone for good, so things could be worse.